Good morning, boys and girls. Welcome back. Today you will need paper and pencil. Again, you know what that means. Yes, you will be writing and you will be submitting your assignment to Google Classroom. So if you don't have your paper and pencil, I'll give you a few minutes to go get it. All right, let's get started with our I can statements. We have two today, and as you can see, I put some words in yellow. The words in yellow are words that you should be able to read. So let's read. I can identify the problem and solution in a story. I can get information from the text to answer questions. So today, the main focus of our lesson, boys and girls, is identifying the problem and solution in a story. We have a very fun story today. Are you ready? So we're going to talk about, again, as I said, we're going to talk about the characters. And the characters are the people or animals in the story. We're going to talk about the setting, the time and place of the story, and we're going to talk about the plot, which has to do with the problem and solution in the story, how the characters figure out or solve a big problem. So our story today is a fiction story. You remember what fiction is? Yes, fiction means fake. It's not real. It's make-believe, and you can tell by the picture that you see here. It's not a real picture. So this is a fiction story. And does anybody know the title? Yes, the title of our story today is The Birthday Pet. And this story was written by Ellen Javernick, and the pictures are by Kevin O'Malley. So remember, I just told you that we're going to focus on the characters, which are the people or animals in the story. And the main character is the most important character in the story. The setting. Who remembers what I said about the setting? Yes, it's where and when the story takes place. Does the story take place at the beach? Does it take place at someone's home? Does it take place maybe in a park? During the day when the sun is out? Or at night? Okay? It's when and where the story takes place. And we're also going to talk about plot. Okay? Plot has to do with the events in the story leading up to how the characters figure out or solve a big problem. Okay? So I want you to think about that when we read our story. As you're listening to the story, The Birthday Pet, I want you to listen for evidence in the story that tells about the problem and solution in the plot. Are you ready for our story? Put on your listening ears. Remember, you're listening for the problem and how the problem was solved.
The Birthday Pet by Ellen Javernick. Illustrated by Kevin O'Malley. It was Danny's birthday, and his folks said he could get any kind of animal he wanted for a pet. Danny thought it over before he went to bed. "All I really want is a turtle," he said. But instead, Dad said, "You don't want a pet that sits like a log." So he went out and got Danny a dog. The dog knocked Danny over when they went outside to play. If Danny took her walking, she always ran away. How's the dog? Asked his father. Danny shook his head. All I really want is a turtle, he said. But instead, Mom said, a turtle's not cuddly or soft like a mitten. So she went out and got Danny a kitten. The kitten was cuddly, but it made Danny sneeze, and he always had to get it down from the trees. How's the kitten? Asked his mother. Danny shook his head. All I really want is a turtle, he said. But instead, his big brother said, you ought to pick a pet more exciting than that. So he went out and got Danny a rat. The rat's beady eyes were a scary sight, and the rat kept Danny up when it gnawed in the night. How's the rat? Asked his brother. Danny shook his head. All I really want is a turtle, he said. But instead, his older sister said, you would like a turtle? A turtle is absurd. So she went out and got Danny a bird. The bird only nipped. It didn't even talk. It was sort of pretty, but it had a nasty squawk. How's the bird? Asked his sister. Danny shook his head. Not one of you listened to anything I said. So instead, his family got Danny a turtle with a nice hard shell. Danny couldn't wait for his show and tell. The turtle blinked her eyes and never made a sound. She played peekaboo as she crawled around. He fed her bugs and lettuce, and he made a turtle gym. Danny thought the turtle was the perfect pet for him. So Dad kept the dog, his brother kept the rat, his sister kept the bird, and Mom kept the cat. Danny kept the turtle, and that was the end of that.
All right, how was that story? Did you enjoy it? Awesome. Okay. So I told you as you were listening to the story, I wanted you to listen for evidence that tells about the problem and solution in the plot. So here I have a graphic organizer where we are going to identify the problem and how the problem was solved. Okay. I also told you that this story is fiction or nonfiction. Very good. Fiction. Fake, not real. Okay, so you were able to look for a big problem and solution, correct? So, what was the problem in the story? You can talk about it with your family member or your home teacher, whoever is helping you today. You can turn and talk to them and tell them what was the problem. Did you say Danny wanted a turtle and his family doesn't listen to him? If you said something close, you're exactly right. Danny, all he wanted was a turtle, But his mom, his dad, his brother, they all tried to give him a different pet. So how was that problem solved? And usually the solution comes at the end of the story. So think about what happened at the end of the story. You can turn and talk with your family member or your home teacher. What happened at the end of the story? How was the problem solved? Did you say that Danny's family listened and gave in and gave him a turtle? If you did, you are exactly right. Excellent job. So now we know what the problem in our story, the birthday pet. Danny wanted a turtle, but his family didn't. Exactly, his family didn't listen. So how was the problem solved? At the end, they finally gave in. They listened to Danny and they gave him a turtle. Good job, boys and girls. All right, boys and girls, pay close attention now that we have identified the problem and the solution in our story, our fiction story, The Birthday Pet. We talked about Danny, the main character, and his family members. Now I'm going to give you a scenario, okay? And you need to think about what your problem is and how you're going to solve the problem. So listen carefully. Let's imagine that it is Monday morning and you are getting ready for school. You look out the window and see dark clouds and rain instead of the sun. The wind is blowing leaves off the trees. What kind of clothing and other things will you need to prepare for this kind of weather? Write a sentence stating your problem. Write 2 sentences stating how you would solve your problem. Draw a picture to match your writing. So again, look at the picture that you see in front of you. This is what you see when you get up Monday morning to get ready for school. You look out the window, you see dark clouds, you see rain, you see the leaves falling off the trees because the wind is blowing so hard. What kind of clothing and other things will you need to prepare for your day? To prepare for your trip to school? So you're going to write a sentence stating your problem. You're going to write 2 sentences stating how you would solve your problem and draw a picture to match your writing. If you have any questions, feel free to come on over to or go on over to Google Meet. We will be there waiting for you to answer any questions that you have or to assist you with the assignment. Make sure you add lots of detail to your writing and to your pictures and get out those crayons. I know you have crayons, I know you have markers, even if you have paint and you want to paint a picture. We want to see some nice, colorful drawing, and we want to see your best first grade handwriting. We don't want to see your mom's handwriting. We don't want to see your dad's handwriting. We don't want to see your brother or your sister or your caregiver. We want to see your best first grade handwriting. We want to see your best drawings. Got it? All right, do your best.